So I'm out hiking around today, testing out some gear that I'm going to bring onto an expedition in the Amazon jungle here in just a little over a week. And I thought I'd kind of show you the contents of what I'm bringing. I'm going to title this video 7-Day Jungle Bug Out Bag. And just to explain, I don't like the whole concept of a bug out bag or even the whole concept of survival, because to me that makes it more adversarial than it needs to be. I would call it thriving rather than survival, just because, you know, you're not out there trying to, like, you know, fight against nature or, you know, fend off the hordes or zombie apocalypse or any of that. At least I'm not. For me, when I'm out in the wilderness, I'm enjoying myself and, you know, trying to be comfortable out there and just have a good time. So I don't really even like the concept of survival or bugging out. As a matter of fact, if there was a natural disaster, it would take a lot to get me to leave my house. Just because I have a little network of neighbors and everything, and it's a lot easier to get through hard times with people around you and help each other out and things like that than it is to go sneak off into the woods. So enough of that. This is the third version of my gear list for the Amazon jungle, and I'm going to show each thing and explain why changes were made to different pieces of gear through different iterations of this pack. This will be my third trip into the Amazon jungle. My second one this year. I was there in May and it's now September, so I think I'm getting the system down pretty well. So starting at the bottom and working my way up, the boots that I'll be wearing in the jungle are just some Altama jungle boots. This will be their third trip there, and of course I've used them all over the woods and everything like that. And they're the domestic made variety, and they're not the kind with the plate in the bottom. They've served me well. I've had no problems with them. For footwear, I'm going to bring 2 pairs of thinner wool socks, one to keep dry in the pack and one to wear in the boots that will get wet. I'm also going to bring some thinner pairs of nylon socks to kind of try out the whole concept. A lot of guys that do jungle trekking or trekking through wet conditions are recommending now using like a very thin sheer sock, like a nylon sock, to avoid, you know, bunching up and abrasions and things like that. And I'm going to bring a couple pairs of those along just to try out the concept. If it doesn't work, I'll just throw them away. The other thing I'm bringing along in terms of footwear is a pair of Crocs, and I'll explain this. I hate Crocs, but they are ever so perfect for the outdoors. This is a change from the last 2 trips. The last 2 trips down, I've brought flip-flops, and the flip-flops have worked decently well. The only criticisms I would have are that your feet are just wide open to all sorts of bug bites and all sorts of other terribleness, like, you know, thorns poking you and things as you're walking. These offer a little bit more protection. These can be worn with or without socks, whereas I have a hard time wearing flip-flops with socks on, and the socks just offer just a little bit more bug bite protection. It's a little bit more secure of a shoe for me than a flip-flop, and I'm a little bit more comfortable wearing them, so I'm going to bring these Crocs down this time. So why Crocs? Why not just have your jungle boots all the time? Well, when you're getting into and out of your shelter in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, it's a little bit unnerving to walk around barefoot or in socks on the jungle floor, because there are all sorts of things down there. And so it's nice to have one of these beneath your swamp bed or your hammock or however you're sleeping, just to be able to step into easily. it's best to, you know, knock them out first, but it's easier to step into something like that for me than it is to put my boots on. So that's why the Crocs. Moving up, this will be my third different pair of pants I've tried down there. The first pair I tried was the Columbia PFC that have the built-in mesh underwear, and those are great. They worked fine. The last time I went down, I tried some ex officio pants that worked well in the States, and you know, they're a good pair of pants, but what happened was within 5 minutes of being down there, the zipper split out, and I had some problems with stitching on other areas of the pants, so I was looking for something a little more heavy duty. These aren't it, but what I've chosen to go with this time is just some REI convertible pants. Just some gray convertible pants that I got for like $50, and they're pretty good. They seem to work. Again, they work stateside very well, and we'll see how they do in the jungle. I prefer the convertible pants because I like to be able to take off the bottoms and kind of cool off a little bit if I have some time and availability to be able to do that. And it lets me do that without carrying an extra pair of shorts or something like that. I also like nylon or other synthetic, preferably with some ripstop in it. These are some Columbias that are really good. They have ripstop, and the REIs that I have some ripstop too, so that's good. I'm bringing along just a regular old nylon belt from 511 Tactical. That went down with me last time. It was a change from the first version of this bag, and that in the first version I used a leather belt, and it just is not as good for me down there as nylon. Moving up for other clothing options, we've got this, and this is just a not, you know, thin, very thin synthetic shirt. I won't mention the brand because it's not important. But it's nice to have a short sleeve shirt in addition to your long sleeve shirt, so that at the end of the day you take the long sleeve shirt off, hang it out in the sun, let it dry off, air out, you know, you can wash it, and it's just a little bit more comfortable at the end of the day to have short sleeves on for a little while. You can always change back into the long sleeve. For the long sleeve shirt, I am changing nothing. The best shirt that I know of for warm weather outdoors activities is the Ex Officio Geo Tracker shirt. My particular shirt has been to the Amazon twice. It's been all over the United States in all kinds of conditions. The only thing I don't wear it for would be winter, because I prefer some wool in the cold weather, but fantastic shirt. I'll be bringing one of those. Moving up, hat. Just any kind of a baseball hat does pretty well. It just keeps the sun out of your eyes, and also when the ants come down and land on your head, they're not immediately in your hair. It takes them a second, so you can just beat them like that. Also, if you get ants on your back or whatever, it's real easy to swat them off or swat them off somebody else's back. I've been wearing the baseball hats and it's fine. Some people like a wide-brimmed, you know, all the way around hat. So that pretty much does it for clothing. Oh, except bandanas. I always bring 3 of those. Nothing's changed. Just, you know, some bandanas. All the clothes that I want to keep dry and things, I'm just keeping in one of these, you know, sil nylon bags. These are pretty good. I brought a couple of these down there before and they performed well. The most basic thing I'm bringing is this Outback rectangle mosquito net. This is the 3rd time I've brought this, and all 3 times it's been absolutely ideally suited to building swamp beds and things like this. I'm actually not going to build a swamp bed unless I have to, but these are nice in case you are not going to be sleeping in the jungle, like if you're going to overnight in a hut or something. I did that once last time. you can easily hang these, because believe it or not, even in shelter you need protection from mosquitoes, and if you don't have one of these you'll be hurting in the morning. So bringing a mosquito net, even though I may not use it to build a swamp bed. The other thing you can do with these is you can catch fish with them, and I've seen where natives have taken netting material and hung it from trees and caught birds with it. So kind of a dual purpose thing, and it weighs next to nothing, and I don't have a problem bringing along something that's a little bit of a redundancy, adds a little bit of bulk, but has enough function that I'm not worried about it. To go along with the mosquito net, if I wanted to build a swamp bed, I'd need a covering. This is a big change from the first two times I've been there. The first time I brought a military GI poncho that was heavy. It worked fantastic, but it was heavy, bulky, and took up a lot of room in the pack, but it worked. The second time I went down, I brought a War Bonnet Outdoors, or maybe it's, yeah, War Bonnet or Blackbird Outdoors, something like that, Superfly, to go with my hammock. And that, again, it works fine, but it's got more bulk to it than you need. You really only need to worry about rain coming straight down, at least when I've been down there the last couple times. And if you were really having a problem, you could lower your covering. There's just not a lot of wind, so you don't have to worry about stuff coming in from the sides. So the doors on the Superfly are redundant, and it adds bulk and weight and complexity in setup. So I've been testing this MSR E-Wing, and I'm pretty impressed with this, and it seems to be about perfect. It's exactly long enough to cover my main shelter, which is a War Bonnet Outdoors Blackbird. These things are fantastic. Built-in mosquito net, built-in gear shelf, lightweight. There is no tent that will be as lightweight as this. I am changing one thing about this for this particular trip, and that's that last time I brought a double bottom thinking that the extra nylon would protect me from mosquito bites through the nylon, and it did not. So I'm not even going to bother with bringing the double bottom. This is a single bottom, and I'll save a little bit of weight that way. Also in the shelter category is this, it's a Gossamer Gear, I think it's the Thin Light or something like this. It's a sleeping pad, a foam sleeping pad that serves a couple different purposes. Again, if you're sleeping on a swamp bed, those things make your night so much better. Also, believe it or not, in the hammock, sleeping on a pad underneath you makes your night better. It does about 3:30 in the morning get a little cool, and that will insulate you a bit. Also, having that underneath you is protection from mosquitoes biting you through the hammock, so that's good. Also, again, you have to be kind of ready for multiple different kinds of sleeping arrangements, and sleeping on the wood floor of a hut is a little bit more comfortable with one of these. I'm bringing, I think, about 100 feet of paracord. I've got a way of storing these so that they don't get tangled and they're easy to access. I've got them cut into 10 foot lengths and then one 25-foot length. And basically, I like orange because the first time I went down I brought like OD green because it was cheap, and I had a hard time finding it to take it down in the morning. And so I'll just kind of show you how I've been storing this. See how easy that is. It's impossible to tangle these, and you know exactly what length you're dealing with right away just by looking at it. I just find the two ends like so. Just tie a little overhand knot here, and then fold in half, and then just another overhand with all of it like that. And what that does is and you don't tighten it too much because this rope swells when it's wet, and so, but that little loop on the end you just put on here, and then all of your cordage is in one place and it'll never get lost. This is a little bit of a change from version 1. I brought 5 and 10 foot lengths in OD green. Version 2 I switched to the orange, and I kept the 5 and 10 foot lengths, and this time I'm going with the just 10s. I've eliminated the 5s and a 25. Talk a little bit about water. I haven't changed anything here. I just bring 2 like Nalgene bottles. These are the 32-ounce size. And for purification, I've seen lots of different ways of doing this, and lots of different, you know, iterations on concepts. I've seen people spending hundreds of dollars on their water purification stuff, and it's really tough to beat these stupid little 2-part purification tabs from like Coleman's or Coughlin's or some other company. I like these. They work. I'm not changing it if it works. There are other systems out there. I've seen people with like high dollar filters, and they clog with after like 4 liters. You know, the drops, I've used the drops before, but I'm not as fond of those as I am of the tablets. It's pretty hard to beat those. I'm bringing a pot, not necessarily because I want to, but because it's part of the expedition gear list. And this is a well-worn MSR Titan. I like these. They work good. A lot of the foods that I've encountered in the jungle would have been a lot better as part of a stew. So, you know, like a little piece of chicken or something, the stuff you get out there is just tougher than hell. And you get more nutrients, and it's easier to eat if you make it into a little bit of a stew. You can get the nutrients out of the bone too. So that, some yucca if you can find it, maybe some rice, throw it in here, boil it, you're good to go. Also serves another purpose in that it's nice to keep track of small things that would otherwise get lost. And also when you're doing your fire prep, keeping shavings and tinder in here, so that it's ready when you need it and in one spot and not getting wet on the jungle ground is good. For fire, Vaseline cotton balls, some Ranger bands. This is a light my, or what is it? It's a firesteel.com, I don't know, rod. This one's been there a couple times, works pretty well. I have a total of 3 Bic lighters with me. Tough to beat a Bic lighter. Well, you're gonna run out of fuel. Well, yeah, but guess what? There's still a spark there now, isn't there? And you can use that to light your Vaseline cotton balls. Additionally, if you've got a lighter and one of these Ranger bands, you can light them and they will just burn forever. So it's good. They're good for tinder and good for gear and all sorts of other things. Another thing I always bring wherever I go anywhere are some earplugs, just a personal luxury item. You can also use them for a little float if you were going to do some fishing. So I guess you could say it's dual use, but that's pretty lame of me to say that. Got these little needle safes. I've got 2 in here. I'll probably just bring 1, but it's a ballpoint pen that I've cut down and taken the guts out of, and then I've got the pen cap on there and needles inside. Those needles work great for equipment repairs. That I've actually had to use them for that. It also works great for you know, if you get a blister and things like that. Handy to have a needle or 2 or 3 or 4 along. Also on these pen safes is some duct tape and some thread. The thread is just duct taped on there. Those work great for equipment repairs, and I actually had to repair those ex officio pants last time. While we're still kind of on the subject of food, I'm going to show you kind of a little bit of a luxury item, but it does serve a little purpose for nourishment. In these two bottles, one of them, these are just, you know, typical squeeze bottles. This is a lock sack so that I don't get the stuff all over the inside of the bag. These lock sacks are great, by the way. This is one of those typical, you know, pop top squeeze bottles. In one will be soy sauce, and in other will be the hot sauce. Those serve a couple different purposes for me. One is soy sauce adds some salt and also some flavor to some of the foods that you have to scrounge up, and same thing with the hot sauce. So adds flavor and nutrients and also improves morale. It's nice to have something like that to kind of look forward to. Even a real small thing like that brightens your day a little bit. What kind of hot sauce? I'm not sure. Probably either Sriracha or a Louisiana style of some sort. What kind of knife are you going to bring? Well, I'm going to bring a couple. And this is a parang that I made from a lawnmower blade. This will be the second time it's down there. It is one that I designed and made, and it performed exactly as I designed it to, and it was absolutely perfect for what I wanted it to do. So that's going to be my main knife. I could stop there. The rest of this is luxury, but it's luxury, but it's cool because it's amusing, and also these things make good trade goods, believe it or not. The natives that you encounter absolutely love quality tools and knives and things like that, and I ended up trading off a few knives the last time I was down there. When I have a pocket knife, I just have a loop of string. You know, this is just a loop that's tied on the end there, and I just put it through whatever lanyard hole they've got on the back there. And when it's secured like that, you can, if you're out using it a lot, you can just put it around your neck. But the other thing you can do is you can loop it through a belt loop and secure it so that, you know, when you're up and down and jumping around, it won't come out of your pocket. And so the last time I was down there, I proved to myself the concept of a folder and a big knife, and that was more than sufficient. I like this Hest 2.0. This is a left-handed version, and this performed extremely well the last time I was down there. This is my second one of these. The first one I traded off while I was in the jungle to somebody that really wanted it. This is also a luxury I'm bringing. This is a BK16 that I've modified. I took a tan sheath and dyed it with orange RIT dye. Why orange? Well, number one, it doesn't look threatening, and it looks more like a tool or a toy than anything. And then number two, if I set it down, orange stands out really well from green, so I'm not going to lose it. So I've got an orange sheath. In the front here, I got another Bic lighter and a Norton fine India stone, and that I brought one of these last time, and it works great for touching up the parang and also for knives and things that you use in camp. I further modified the sheath by taking out, there's supposed to be 2 snaps on here, and I took out the top snap because I don't need that much security on the knife, and I put this little piece of bungee cord on there so that, you know, it'll secure the top of the knife if you need to, but it's easier for me to get undone and done than a snap. I got this idea from a guy named Iowa Woodsman, or Terry. Then the knife itself, this is the BK16. There's a guy named Canine Handler on Blade Forums that made the handles. I like orange, again, for reasons already explained. I put in stainless steel screws from a guy I know named Scott. And then I convexed the edge, and it's shaving sharp. I like them sharp. The other knife I'm bringing, if you want to call it a knife, is a Leatherman Juice 2. Again, this is a luxury, but we will probably be doing some fishing, and sometimes it's easier for me to get fish hooks out of mouths with teeth in them if I've got some pliers. There's scissors and screwdrivers and other useful tools on here too, in case you need to do some repair. Got another little bag with some toiletries. For me, sunscreen is real important. Got some toothbrush, toothpaste, and some just wipes for business that needs to be done sometimes. I've got a pair of gloves. They work great for, you know, wet and dry, and if I don't wear gloves I get horrible blisters, so need to bring some gloves. I'm bringing the same trusty flashlight, Phoenix LD20. I've got a little red cover that goes on there for night. This will be its third trip down there. I don't see any reason to change. The light was inexpensive relative to other lights, and it works fantastic. Mine also has a headband. This is something new. I'm bringing a GPS unit this time. This particular GPS unit also has radio capability. And just so that I have some redundancy in that compartment, I'm bringing a regular base plate type compass and a compass from Scott's Knots. It's on my shoe. I get lost a lot. The fishing kit I'm bringing along, I've made some changes to. I'm favoring these big 6/0 and 7/0 hooks, because how I've been fishing lately is to take a big chunk of meat, like another piece of fish, and put it on there, and just throw it in there with a sinker, let it sink to the bottom, and then sooner or later something big bites it. It's more efficient for me to fish that way. I've got different line. This is like some ripcord stuff. It's like 50-pound braided test, whatever line from Cabela's that I've been using for catfishing lately. And then just some other standard tackle stuff. But the main change is I'm using a lot bigger hooks and a lot bigger line. My first aid kit hasn't changed and probably never will. It's real simple, and that's the main thing. It's lightweight, simple, and the main thing I'm bringing for first aid is my brain. Some of the key parts of my kit are some ibuprofen and Benadryl, both in the same container. An extremely important thing to bring along is some petroleum jelly. It's both good for fire starting, chafing, and also for wound care. This is one of the more valuable items in my pack. I also carry some 4x4 gauze pads, some moleskin, and some band-aids, but that's really all I take. Finally, I'll probably bring a couple little camera things along, like you know, my flip that I'm filming this with now, probably my little Canon S95 to take stills, extra batteries for all of that, extra batteries for the flashlight, and a Right in the Rain thing with some pens. Oh, one last thing, I almost forgot, my watch. This is just a Marathon. I forget the exact model, but you can find it on different sites. It's got the tritium dial. This is my third one of these. The first one I gave away as a gift. The second one I gave away to replace the gift because the guy broke it, and this is actually my third one. I love this watch. So that's the kit, version 3.0. Some changes from version 2.0. I'm using a different pack. Everything is lighter, everything is more compact, and everything is serving multiple purposes. So I'll let you know how it goes.